You
with
still hear me?
Brews on a Porch presents to you another edition of Strange Brews, Conspiracies, Murder, Ghost Stories, Aliens. They're all coming to get you, my dears.
To answer your question, yes, I'm still here. Are you still here?
Can you hear me was the question.
Yeah. Are any of us really here? Can anyone really be heard in this world that we call Earth?
I think we can, but people choose not to.
Yeah, it's very well. It's very possible.
What was that? I got more to say, actually.
Okay.
I'm joking. I chose not to hear you.
It's a Strange Brew episode. We haven't done one of these in a while. My name is Drew.
Got to get back to these roots, back to these strange roots.
You know, the roots, we've talked about the roots a little bit off there. And, you said you want to cut some of the personal stuff out, but if you really listen back to it, the whole show is about personal stuff. But I get it.
You're framing me in such a way that, like, I offered up some positive, constructive ideas to keep our listener, like, to get back to the listenership that we had. I think we've gotten a little off the rails in terms of we don't have enough stuff going on in our lives to talk about our personal stuff every week. We need to get back to the Strange Brews. We got to get back to the interviews every once in a while. We can do personal episodes. They're fun to do. I love doing them, and I'll do it all day. I'll do that every week with you just because I like talking to you. But don't paint me as some kind of a monster.
Okay. Sorry.
Like I said, fuck I don't want to know anything about you, Drew. Nothing more. I better not hear it anymore.
I've got exciting things I could talk about right now personally, but we're not here about the personal stuff today. Today we're here about the unusual, the strange, not so much paranormal this week, but we are going to dive in and take a look at potential weapons everybody has in their kitchen, and we're going to find a real life application of said attacks with those utensils. But first, I'll let you stew in that for a little bit. Let's talk about the beers that we're drinking. For those of you that are here for the beer, you're going to get about 3 minutes of us talking about it. We're really drinking them. And then at the end, we'll revisit. I don't know where all this shit comes from. I just go to the store, I buy it, I look at the internet and get the information, okay?
You're really coming hard at my notes. Hard today.
I don't know where the hops come from. I don't, a farmer, they buy it. I don't know.
I think a farmer maybe grows it. That would be my guess. And then they sell it.
You're right. That's what it is.
That's the model that farmers like to use.
Correct. So I am drinking like it is 2019, Rob. I'm drinking pre-pandemic beer right now. I am having the Three Sheeps Ocelot. It is their 2019. It's a Imperial Double Stout from their Barrel Aged Society from 2019. Bourbon Barrel Aged Imperial Stout with cinnamon, vanilla, cocoa nibs, and ancho chilies. Chiles. This was their first release of 2019. I think you can usually let like the bourbon aged beers, you can let them sit for about 5-ish years, and we're pushing it. I was very happy to see when I poured the beer, there was some carbonation still in it. It has.
You got some milk on there?
It has since milk.
Apparently, that's what they call the head on the beer. It's called milk.
Oh, all right. Foam. I didn't know that.
For those people out there listening just for the beer stuff, I'm throwing down the gauntlet. I got terminology. I got vocab.
It was
inside.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. But yes, there was some milk on there. And I was happy about that. I was like, good. So that, like, the flavor isn't all gone. It looks like your stout. It is black. It is beautiful. You smell it. You get that little cocoa nib smell. You get the bourbon. It's set for a good combination. Now, the chilies, I'm not so sure about, because things about spicy drinks, they're just kind of weird. So let's see if this has a very forward frontal kick in the spice, or if it's more on the back end. And
yeah, the chiles will come on the back end tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. It's a little
okay, we're moving up.
It's a little flat, probably because it's so old. You get the cocoa nibs on the back end. You get a subtle bourbon taste on the front end. Maybe like the cocoa nib is more with the like it's like kind of a good blend of the vanilla, the cinnamon, the chilies. I don't really know what it could be. It could be because hold on. It could be because it's
Let me mute.
I'm using your computer right now, which is a fucking miracle. Is
this happening right now?
Yeah, we're at don't address it. It's like a T-Rex. Don't look at it in the eyes and everything. But
okay,
the chiles, chiles or whatever. Maybe if it wasn't so old, more of that taste would be present. But you're allowed to barrel or to like age these a little bit more. It's 10.5 ABV, 0 on the IBUs. It's tasty. I probably should have opened it up sooner. I have like 5 or 6 more bottles that I need to get through of varieties of like the Wolf and Ocelot from the Barrel Society of 2019. And hopefully I'll do I'm not going to do them all in the podcast, but I'll do them. You know, I like to save them for special occasions. And this is a special occasion because, God damn it.
Yeah, we're revamping the show. We're taking it back in a good direction.
Right.
Revamping. I'm going to let it sit out there that I said that.
Yeah.
His words are very specific.
Yeah. And then if you're listening and you want to explain this podcast to a friend, don't say it's a beer podcast because it is a beer podcast to a degree, but that's not the focus of the show, nor has it ever been. A couple episodes.
Well, that's
maybe.
my fault because when I first started this show, I thought you knew everything about beer. I'm learning now. I caught up to you very quickly.
I know enough about it. I know enough that I like it. Rob, what are you drinking?
I am drinking from Great Notion Brewing Company out of Portland, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just check. Yes. Great Notion Brewing and Barrel House from Portland, Oregon. Pog Frog, which is a tart ale with passion fruit, orange, and guava and natural flavors. You probably have more information in terms of what you can find on this. I haven't drank it yet. I do want to just say, you want to read it quick for it?
Pog Frog is a new anytime crusher made with passion fruit, orange, and guava for just the right blend of sweet and sour. It is 6% ABV, 0 on the IBUs because the tartness. I mean, you don't want bitterness and tartness. Maybe you do, but maybe you don't.
Well, I don't, and that's why I got it because I feel like I've been leaning heavily into beers that I know I'm probably gonna like. You give me an IPA, especially a West Coast IPA, I'm gonna like it. I've never been a fan of the tarts, of the sours, but I stay away from them. And my taste has drastically changed in the last 6 to 8 months. Where I was only remember when I only liked hazies and I was drinking all hazies, and now I've moved on to more hoppy beers, danker beers, and I've refined my palate a little bit, and I want to see if maybe tarts have taken a turn for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and
in real time.
I've been doing this. What's crazy is if you swirl the beer and you get a little bit of that milk back on top.
Yeah,
it changes the smell and the flavor profile like a lot.
You're milking your beer.
Mm-hmm.
I've milked a lot of things in my life. Never a beer until today.
And you know what? This is really good.
Good. Oh my God, we're turning over a new leaf.
I mean, if you want, especially if you want a fruity citrus beer, this is really good. It's got a sweet upfront flavor, and then it gets
It's a tart ale. It's not sour. It's tart. Which I think I might like tart, but not sour. Sour is where things go wrong when things go sour.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, look it up in the dictionary. I think it's a bad term.
Yeah, it can be for sure. But
the color of it is it's got a little orange juicy, mango juicy hue to it. It's not clear. It's a little thicker. It's a little whatever. It's good.
Absolutely.
So far.
Well,
we'll revisit.
Let's get to the strange aspect of the episode. It's been a while since we've done it. Before we really get into the main story that we're going to address, another murder, an unusual murder that happened in the state of Wisconsin. But first, we just like to highlight and give a little PSA on what's really in your kitchen. You know, when you go to grab that bread, you grab that peanut butter, that jelly, what utensil are you using to spread said condiments, if you will?
Jams and, dare I say, butters.
Right, butters. You use a butter knife.
Use a butter knife. And now, unbeknownst to me, for sure, up until this last week, there's a debate. There's a debate going on about whether or not these butter knives are deadly weapons or can be considered deadly weapons. Which we could actually talk about your personal stuff if they did that with a butter knife. Did they?
No.
Okay. Well, then we'll table it.
They use solders and I don't know. I was awake during it. I didn't look though because I would have passed out.
Yeah. I don't want to hear about it, let alone look at it. But
anyways.
Okay, so I did find this question goes back as far at least as 2019.
When this beer was made.
Yeah, when your beer was made. So in San Francisco, they actually had a court case, and the court case was to define whether or not you can call, like, does a butter knife qualify as a deadly weapon? And this came from a case where one sister locked another sister out of her house, and when she got let back in, she went to the kitchen and brandished a butter knife. Whereas the other sister, the sister that locked her out, let's call her Sister A. Sister A locks Sister B out. Sister B gets a butter knife and has a look in her eye. It's a smooth spreading look, and she's coming. She's coming with that butter knife. And Sister A goes and she hides underneath a blanket.
Best spot. And it's so obvious it might work.
That's of course that's what you do. But what's crazy to me about this is that one act of climbing underneath your blanket to stop a butter knife attack is what led to this court case. Because that's what they debated mostly, is because Sister B then use this, and they kept on making a point to say serrated. It was a serrated butter knife. We've all seen a serrated butter knife.
Right.
You can't cut through a piece of paper. Definitely not a blanket, and that's what happened. Nothing happened to the sister under the blanket, but they had a friend there who called the cops, and so there's this debate that raged on. And what was funny to me is, like, they're arguing, like, one of the arguments that somebody said was, like, if a blanket is enough to qualify as a cloaking device for a weapon, then it can't be considered a deadly weapon. Whereas the other attorney then argued, well, so if I had a sword and you were wearing if you were wearing armor like a knight, like full metal armor, then me hitting you with a full broadsword wouldn't be considered an assault with a deadly weapon because I know that it's not going to go through that armor. And I'm going, this is 2019. And you're talking about a butter knife.
Yeah.
But these things are happening. And
these situations.
So that in that case is People versus Aguilar. Aguilar. I don't know how to.
Aguilar.
Aguilar. Yeah. So there's some very interesting ideas as to what their arguments were as to whether or not these, like the first argument being, can a butter knife create bodily harm or injury? And then the other person arguing goes, a pencil can do that. A credit card can do that.
Mm-hmm.
My fingernails can do that. If you want to qualify it based on what damage it can do, everything on this planet has been and will be a deadly weapon. And then they moved on to the cloaking device of the blanket, which then the other the I would say the prosecution brings in a knight's armor and broadsword argument, which I think is hilarious. And as far as I can tell from what I found, the judge ruled under the idea of intent. So like Sister B knew that she wasn't going to be able to hurt, kill, maim her sister with a butter knife, therefore it's not considered assault with a deadly weapon. But we're gonna dive deeper into this because there's more butter knife stories, that there's more evidence to uncover with these butter knife what will we call them, assaults.
Well,
butter knife assaults, they're not as uncommon as one might think, so we're here to bring you the whole story.
So there was an individual in Wisconsin, in the Green Bay area. I think Schabusiness, which is technically Lambeau Field is in Schabusiness. It's Green Bay adjacent. It's like a suburb kind of Green Bay to a degree. Her name initially at birth, Taylor Coronado. So Taylor Coronado, Wisconsin resident, has childhood wasn't great. Childhood was rough. She kind of has a little bit of a history of traumatic events. At the age of 11, her mom died. And I think when she was around 20-something, 22 maybe, her brother died in a motorcycle accident. Her dad recently just started his prison sentence for raping a child. So you have those three individuals in this person's life, right? Taylor Coronado. Essentially, and then she got in trouble with the law off and on. She did get married in 2020, had a kid. This individual right now, I think, is like 25 or 26 years old. Her husband went to jail for making drugs and potentially distributing them. He says he was set up. But she has a lot of drug use in her life, specifically meth.
I was going to say meth. Do you think his brother's defense is, I was set up, like no one was supposed to tell on me?
This is her husband. Yeah, I don't know.
I was set. Did somebody set up did they put the meth lab in your garage, or were you set up in the sense that somebody said, I know, hey, you're a cop, right? I know where you can get some meth that's being made on site.
Mm-hmm. And she also, she's had troubles with the law. She attacked a cop one time just during like a stop. She's unhinged, if you will. And I want to note, we're gonna make jokes, but this is pretty serious. It gets a little intense. It gets a little grotesque in certain degrees, the information that we're about to unfold. So if you are uncomfortable with that stuff, skip to the end, listen to our beer reviews, give us a 5-star rating on all your favorite pod apps, and like and subscribe.
Can you rate on pod apps? I don't think I've ever rated a podcast.
No,
that's neither here nor there. Let's move on.
So okay, let's step back a little bit. She went through middle school, made a friend. The friend named Shad. So when she got married, her last name turned into Schabusiness, by the way, which is like what a last name. I'm not kidding.
So was her kid's name what? What's Schabusiness?
Mind ya? Oh, no, that wouldn't work.
Damn it. Mind your business.
I wish. Anyways, so she made this friend. His name was Shad, or he went by Shad Thyron. Friends in middle school, have been friends ever since they met in middle school. That turned into the friendship turned into a sexual relationship. Her husband's in jail. You know, she's got needs, she's got wants, desires. She turns to her boy Shad, and they're smoking meth, they're doing drugs, they're having sex.
This guy did the unthinkable. He got out of the friend zone.
Well, in 2022, February 23rd,
This is where he takes a turn.
Shad's head was found in a bucket by his mother in the basement of her house. I'm sure her first thought is, how'd this get here? She calls the police. I watched a little bit of the body cam footage, and it's like, you know, she's like down there on the right at the bottom of the stairs. There's a towel over it. You lift that towel up, kid's head, my son's head is in it, severed head. The rest of the body isn't attached. And it was
there a body there?
We'll get to that. It's so do
you think that was the bucket new? Did I
don't know.
I mean, I'm trying to, like, I know that you're not supposed to do this, but when you put yourself in the situation, I had a friend that I was smoking meth with. Now I have a body and a head.
Well, his mom found it. His mom found it. Yeah.
I know, but somehow it had to get there. So I'm talking about the person that put it there.
Yeah,
they wake up and from whatever they're doing, and they got a head. Do you go buy a bucket? Do you find a bucket?
I'm assuming she found it.
I mean, I don't. That's just, I don't know. All right, let's get off the bucket. There's a lot of receptacles, and I'm just. Was it the mom's bucket?
I think so. There's more receptacles to come. So we got a head, we got no body. The police, you know, the dude's just like, wow, because that's not something you see every day. A severed head just sitting in a bucket, right? Well, where's the rest of the body, Rob?
Yeah, that should surprise you.
The rest of the body was kind of hidden in various locations. In the basement, a lot of his organs were found. Like the torso was discovered. His genitals were severed, were discovered. And eventually, through some searching, in a van, in a crock pot, were some of his organs. And
okay, so I got caught up on the bucket. Now we've got a crock pot in place, so my mind is going to explode.
So you got the bucket in the basement. You got the crock pot in the van. In the crock pot.
Was the torso just like where?
It was sitting somewhere in like a room or something. I think
just like back to in a corner, like
yeah. So people are like, what's going on? It gets linked to Taylor Schabusiness, right? And she pretty much openly admits it. Yeah, I did.
Taylor Schabusiness is actually a pretty good one too. My business is Taylor.
Yeah, you're right. It pretty much just got back linked to her. One question, she's like, "Yep, this is what happened. We were making love, and I started to choke him. He then turned purple and started coughing up blood, and I just didn't stop because I wanted to see what would happen, and I enjoyed what was happening," is what she told police. She then went into the kitchen and grabbed kitchen knives to dismember this individual, cutting off his head, cutting his torso up, removing his legs from his body.
But he was dead by strangulation.
Correct.
And it's not like, so, because I originally, when I heard about this, I heard it was butter knife centric. Is that true?
Knives in the kitchen.
Okay, well, that's okay. We'll get to the butter knife murders later, then.
Knives in the kitchen were used to dismember. And, you know, if you really think about it, like, the average knife in your kitchen ain't gonna. You gotta really put some.
I don't have the stamina to do that many cuts with knives in my kitchen.
She also saved his blood to shower with. later. Like she harvests his
Well,
blood.
that's
Strange.
yeah.
Um,
Well, not considering what happened before it.
right. Well, she continued
I
to
mean,
like
I think that's your next logical step.
she continued to like do things with the body while it was dead, and it's just it's gross. It's disgusting. During her trial, she always has like this weird grin on her face, like she is just smiling. Her dad is testifying, just kind of on her background, situations that happened in her life. He's in his orange jumpsuit. He just got sentenced to prison, and she's just.
They didn't even let him put a suit on.
He came from the clink. She's just got this like grin on her face, like there's legit like your stereotypical evil grin. She's got it on her face, and you can watch it. You can watch those testimonies on YouTube. You can watch the body cam footage. It's all on there. It's it's public record. It's just it is just weird that she did this, and she liked it. She enjoyed it.
What defense were they trying to use? Because when you come out and say, "Oh well, I was having we were making love in the way that we make love, which involves strangulation," and you know what, I just didn't feel like I saw a problem happening. I didn't want to stop because I just wanted to see what happened. Yeah, I wanted to see what happened. Defense doesn't go very well. You normally that's called a confession, and you wait
right.
like.
The defense was this chick is insanity. They pled insanity. And very well you could say yes, that is an insane person. There is something wrong with her in which she would do this, in which she would enjoy it, and then she like when they're talking about the body parts because they couldn't find everything, she told the police, "Good luck finding it all," and laughed. Like just like that's fucking wild.
Is it wrong of me that I'm just kind of like, once the deed's done, you might as well at least like fuck with the cops a little bit on it. Like, I don't know. To have that great of a response to that, like, there's not many times in your life you can go, "Good fucking luck." I'm gonna get if the cherry existed, I'd get it, but you won't know where his wrist is.
Yeah, I think they collected majority of it. But yeah,
the majority of it. That's a terrible.
I don't know, not all of it, but like just kitchen knives did all that.
Was that in the press release? The majority police find majority of body.
I mean, well, yeah. I mean, like I said, she harvested some of the blood because she was going to bathe with it and do all that. And
that's. I mean, yeah. I want to. There's things. I can't even think of things to say because it's yet another Wisconsin murder. That's like, what is going on up there?
That's what I'm going to get to that's what I'm getting to at the end. So this, I kind of thought this was interesting too. During the trial, of course they're interviewing all these people. They're talking about this. They're like, they highlight the past, of course. Mom died at 11. Brother tragically died. Husband or her dad's in prison. Her husband was in prison. He's not anymore. He stood side by side with her during this trial, like supported her. She openly cheated on the dude, killed somebody, and he's like, "Yeah, we'll do this." Their child lives with grandparents. I'm assuming on the father's side. Actually, it has to be on the father's side, and in a different state in Texas. So this kid is hopefully in a better place, right? Like as far as placement, because these parents were
emotionally, because in Texas you're not actually no.
Right. So insanity was the plea. Like, I'm insane. No normal person would fucking do this. And that would have been a good alibi in a sense, or a good case, I guess you would say. But prior to the murder, she had Google searches in which she would look for images of Jeffrey Dahmer looking all sexy. She specifically...
Well, so, I mean, that you just have to search Jeffrey Dahmer for that, right? You don't need to put anything else.
I don't think he was that good looking of a guy.
I don't. Yeah, you had a mustache. I know that.
But it's to me, it's like there's a lot of famous murderers out there. She's idolizing, looking up, and clearly attracted to another Wisconsin.
How does that not help your insanity plea?
I don't know.
I mean, I literally thought you were gonna say she had Google searches of how to murder somebody and get away with insanity, and the answer is like brutally murder somebody in a brutal I can't even come up with a different word, violent manner, bathe in their blood, dissect their genitals, make sure that only the majority of the body gets found. That'll give you a chance. And even then, I would say you're crazy because you searched that, and you should know that in this day and age, searching anything like that, the fact that we're talking about this, if we ever murder somebody, we're guilty by association just because we talked about it. Because they have an interest in this stuff. But I will say this, like I don't think a sane person pretending to be insane could do all that stuff either at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I think she definitely, anyone that does something like that outside of like self-defense is insane, in my opinion. And I mean, dangerous nonetheless. You're dangerous.
Well, yeah, I mean, it to me, it makes it more of a reason to have some sort of, I don't know if I believe in the punishment system that we have created, but we call it rehabilitation, but that's absolutely not what it is. There is a real way to rehabilitate people, but yeah, the people that just murder because they want to know what it feels like or whatever, that's scarier to me than somebody who murders out of passion in the moment, being mad at somebody for scuffing their AJ1s, or whatever.
AJ1s. Jordan ones?
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I have plenty of them. But yeah, the insanity thing didn't work. The jury deliberated. Took them 30 minutes to say, yeah, she's got.
And what happens now? Life in prison?
She's
no parole.
Yeah, I don't. She has a Her sentencing is scheduled for the future. I don't know how many. I would imagine. I think she's facing quite a bit. It essentially would be life in prison based on the various dismembering a corpse. First degree murder. She also so the other Google search real quick was Jeffrey Dahmer's butt. Specifically his butt.
You think that autofilled?
Probably, maybe.
I'm not willing to find out. I'm not willing to try that out.
So she was guilty. She'll be sentenced. Do you think so? With like the recent, a lot of people know who Jeffrey Dahmer is, but he has been
now more people than ever because they're somebody's cashing in on Wisconsin's horror lately.
Well, it's like they released that show, right? Whatever it was called. It's all about Dahmer. Yeah, I think you're right. And then they had the documentary come out pretty much simultaneously, right?
And well, yeah, then they had the Dahmer tapes.
Yep, right. So you have all this stuff out about Jeffrey Dahmer. People consumed it, mass consumed it, and it's like, I don't know. In a way, people, I don't want to say idolizing these killers, but they're definitely intrigued. They're definitely interested. I mean, we're talking about it.
I don't think it's idolizing. I think it's just interesting to a human mind that somebody can
do these things,
do something that you could never think of doing. It's probably the same reason we kind of hold like movie stars and these types of people in high, because it's something that we don't put ourselves out there to do, and we think it's like it's just the opposite end of the spectrum. Everything runs on a parabola or whatever the fuck they called it. Where it's, but you can go far to the right or far to the left. Is that yeah? So I'm talking about the U.
Yeah, that's a parabola.
Yeah.
Do you know how to graph it?
If you go to one end or the other, you're gonna find the same types of people or the things interesting or whatever. But most people sit in the bell curve, So.
What about the asymptote?
What?
Nothing. Or the vertex. What about the vertex? You said the bottom or the top. All depends on.
Yeah, well, it'd be you're alienating me and our audience.
Parabolas, quadratic formula. Do you know what the quadratic formula is?
There's 4 things in it.
It's the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of 4ac, or no, b squared minus 4ac all over 2a.
So the butter knife was invented sometime in the 18th century, I found.
Really? 18th century, huh?
18th century, and the crazy, oddly enough, looked like a murderous weapon back then. It was originally not made to spread butter. It was made to cut, like kind of stab into a thing of butter, and then you serve the pat of butter. It wasn't until the late 18th century, early 19th century that different types of butter knives came into play, where you would have the sharpened edged dull knife, butter knife on the center of the table with the main butter, and it would be put onto plates with bread, where then each person at the table would have their own spreading butter knife, which was a dull circular or rounded blade.
So real quick,
I found at least 14 different types.
That's a lot.
Of butter knife.
So you said initially they just stabbed it and gave you a slab of butter, and they just
like a pat of butter.
They just
what
ate
we
it?
would call a pat of butter.
Did they just eat it?
No, it goes on bread, but the bread was probably warm back then because it's the 18th century,
so
and you're making your own, and it would melt.
Okay.
But when high society kind of came in, then it was like, oh, we need more fancy butter knives. The peasants are using their fingers. We must use new butter knives. This one's serrated. This one's rounded. This one has a bone handle. There's actually hollow handled butter knives, which are supposedly more fancy than not hollow.
The fact that there's 14 varieties is mind-blowing.
At least. There are some very, very expensive butter knives on the market from back in the day. It's kind of like a Paul Revere silver spoon, if you will, only made. So there's some butter knife artists that crafted butter knives that are worth a lot of money on that utensil. If you want to go to Utensil Con and you want to bring a real showstopper,
yeah,
you get a mid 19th century engraved hollow handled butter knife with an ivory ring on it, and you're gonna be the belle of the ball. You're gonna be that's smooth like butter.
Hey-o.
That you buttered with your $15,000 butter knife.
Interesting.
But yeah, there's a whole world inside these butter knives, and so that's the fancy high end, is these engraved silver, ivory, bone handled, crazy shaped, different materials butter knives, but there's also there's the seedy underbelly world. Because I've found at least, I'm just going to read a few headlines here. Searching for Maryland woman who allegedly stabbed and killed a man inside a restaurant with butter knife. That happened that's where our nation's capital is, Maryland.
No, it's not.
That's butter knife
our nation's
killer.
Capital is Washington, D.C., dude. That's not Maryland.
Isn't it? Washington, D.C. is in Maryland.
It's its own thing.
But it's right in Maryland, man.
It's by Maryland. It's not in Maryland.
It's in Maryland.
All right. Anyways, butter knives.
All right. Let's look this up now. Now I got 2 screens. I got you. I can look stuff up mid-show. let me get off this history of the butter knife page and go.
Is it
Where
Washington
is
D.C. is a state, isn't it not? Or is it a district?
Maryland is a state.
I know Maryland's a state, but Washington D.C. is also its own thing.
Let's just see here. Let's just see. All right, I'm wrong. I'm wrong. So we've proven I don't know math or geography today. Let's get back to the
history.
The what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Let's stop focusing on me. Yeah, butter knife killer gets 70 years. Someone named Edward stabbed 25 times with a butter knife, which was found bent at a 90-degree angle. That's how much he got stabbed with a butter knife. And it's not made for stabbing. This is a round edges butter knife. So when you stab 25 times into flesh and bone with a round edged butter knife, it comes out at a 90-degree angle.
So it, by definition, is stabbed. Does that mean like penetration of or breaking of skin? Or can like I stab somebody with a pencil and it just leaves a mark?
Yeah, I think maybe he stabbed him 30 times, but the first 5 times it didn't break skin, so they couldn't count it.
Okay.
I have no idea. That's a good question. But there's more. There's more. Massachusetts man accused of killing 82-year-old mom with truck.
Jesus Christ.
But first tried to stab her with a butter knife that he had in his pocket.
Just carrying it around, you never know when you need one.
Just carrying around a butter. Now that goes back to what we started the show with. If you're carrying around a butter knife in your pocket and you try to stab somebody with it unsuccessfully, although it may be, is it a deadly weapon or an assault with a deadly weapon? Because you clearly didn't have butter. You only had the knife.
Yeah, I don't know how many times I've randomly have just stumbled upon a spreadable substance that you normally put on bread or something.
There's a reason they don't put the butter knife in the Swiss Army knife.
Right.
But
Never thought about that. I mean, the Swiss Army knife is all you need. And the butter knife, yeah, wow.
Here we go. Suspect. This is just another headline. Just headlines here. Suspect reportedly stabbed victim 20 times with a butter knife.
Supposedly,
man killed dad with butter knife. Took out eyeball. Police say.
I want to go backtrack to the supposedly.
Yeah. We'll get back to that. We'll go back. This one's pretty good. Police say man stabbed couple with butter knife over quote disrespect unquote. Felt disrespected. Stabbed them with a butter knife.
Is it because it's like, you disrespected me, so I'm not even going to abuse you. I'm gonna disrespect you and think you're so weak that you're gonna get hit with this butter knife.
Yeah, this will make me think twice if I'm in a bar brawl and somebody grabs a butter knife. I'll go, all right, you win. You win.
You have a gun in your hand. And
yeah, I got a gun and they've got a butter knife. I'm backing down. Down.
And they say never bring a knife to a gunfight unless it's butter.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Because you confuse your foe for a moment, and that's all it takes.
That's right. You catch them off guard for a second, and it costs them their life.
So this one is terrible. So you brace yourselves, listeners, Andrew, because this one really. But what's interesting to me is that this guy gets assassin status. He gets the 3 names. You know how assassins have 3 names always, John Wilkes Booth.
Oh, sure.
Lee Harvey Oswald.
Yeah, that's true.
We got. Apparently, when you use a butter knife in this way, you get assassination or assassin status, which is Cody Ryan Davis stabbed puppy with butter knife.
Oh, that's sad. That's
very sad. That's why I said brace yourself. I don't think the puppy made it.
No, yeah, that's too bad.
So I could keep scrolling, Drew. I didn't have time. There's so many stories on this that I didn't have time to research them all.
I'd be interested to see, so what's more dangerous, a butter knife or a spoon?
because of the epidemic of heroin use, I want to say spoon, but
I didn't
now
think
that
about
I've scrolled through these stories, I think it might be butter knife.
I'll tell you a true fact about a butter knife in my life. On more than one occasion, Robert, I have cut myself with a butter knife on accident, but it is drawn blood. It would.
I've cut myself with a plastic butter knife. Those things are sharp.
Yeah, those things are.
And I'm not careful.
Yeah, yeah, it's something to consider.
I mean, next time we're making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, which I just had multiple of when I went to see that movie in the cemetery.
You saw you saw Poltergeist.
It was saw Poltergeist.
Yeah, that'd be
had
fun.
Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Still good, still classic, still amazing sandwiches.
You want to know a fun fact about peanut butter and jelly?
To make.
Peanut butter and jelly. Here's a strange fact in the Strange Brew episode about peanut butter and jelly. On average, every peanut butter and jelly that you eat adds about 12 minutes to your life.
Are you kidding me?
that's
God, I'm gonna live forever. That's not what I wanted, man. That's bad news for me.
Well, you're smoking cigarettes, so you're negating your.
Oh yeah, okay, so it balances out. All right.
So we all have our vices. It's just life is all about balance. But I mean, once we get
now that's great, because then when somebody goes, "How could you smoke that?" I'm gonna go, I had peanut butter and jelly today.
Yeah, that's like eating.
Look it up.
It's like
Look
eating 6 donuts and be like, I ran.
Yeah, it's they're a perfect balancing act.
Right.
I'm walking a tight wire here.
Exactly. But yeah, Taylor Schabusiness is insane. I do want to know what's
okay.
up.
Well, can we just say I just came across one last one, and this is. Tell me what you. Mississippi man decapitated his mom using a butter knife and teeth.
Like he used his teeth and the butter knife?
Yeah.
Dude's a vampire.
This is I mean I think we've answered the question that the San Francisco court could not answer.
The answer is yes.
Yes. Yeah. It's a resounding yes. It is a let's get these butter knives off the market. Yes.
And, and if you have a butter knife,
you should have to take a psych test before you buy a butter knife.
If you have a butter knife long enough and you wash it frequently, consistently, some rust is bound to form. So now you're also facing getting some tetanus.
That's true. And in my research, I did find some fake news.
Oh yeah.
I'm glad you brought this up, because this was if anybody just wants a fun read, just a little fun read. Go to uncyclopedia.com and type in butter knives and find out the rich history of frozen butter that's shaped into a knife. So they are knives made out of butter, and there's a whole story in there about how they're the preferred method of assassination by assassins, because they melt in the wound and they cause some kind of some gangrenous infection of sorts. And somebody went through and really wrote out a really great history of knives made out of butter, and it's well worth going down that rabbit hole. I enjoyed reading those articles.
So it begs the question: Jeffrey Dahmer, Ed Gein, Taylor Schabusiness. What is it about the state of Wisconsin that seems to attract these heinous crimes? Stephen Avery is another one. Regardless of what people say about the Netflix documentary, I've been told by a source, and I don't know how accurate this is, but a source told me her uncle, this source's uncle, is in prison, was in the same prison as Stephen Avery. Stephen Avery told her uncle that, yeah, he told him how he killed that individual.
I don't buy that.
You don't think so?
Anytime I hear you can take what I say with a huge grain of salt.
Yeah.
A mountain of salt if you want, because I'm the guy that'll sit here and tell you Paul McCartney died in 1966. I'm the guy that'll tell you we landed on the moon, but we didn't film it. It's fake film. But but I also like when I hear that statement of, oh, when he was in a jail cell, he decided to tell somebody,
Right.
I did this.
Right.
And it's like, to me, I just go like,
that's too Shawshank for me.
Yeah, it just doesn't make. Yeah, there's. I think that's like, because too many times we've seen that ploy used where it's like you pay some jailhouse fucking whatever, like the cops or the prosecution will pay somebody or give them time off their sentence to say what they need to hear in court to
Right.
get their verdict, and then you find out 30 years later, oh, the person was actually innocent and we robbed somebody of their life.
Well, look at the West Memphis 3. You ever hear of them?
Yeah, yeah. That was also the what was it? The five, the Central Park Five. I believe that it was all based on bad eyewitness testimony that I'm sure was like they fingered these people and they said these are the guys, and they tailored everything to that. Yeah, and it's so to me, no, I go like I don't. Anytime I hear a jailhouse confession that he told me in a jail cell, no, I don't. That should not be. You should not be able to bring that in as some kind of evidence.
Sure. I'm just saying what I was told.
I know you're not a lawyer and you're not trying to do that. But who knows with Avery? I don't even know enough of the details of what happened, and even if it was an abnormal murder, because there's murders that are just they happen. I don't want them to happen, but they're not butter knife murders. They're not make people into lampshade murders. They're not eat people later murders.
Right.
So can you put
just regular murder?
Yeah. Can you put Stephen Avery in the pantheon of the Wisconsin crazies? No, I don't think so. You can't put him with the Ed Kempers of the world, but there's those people exist all over the place. Ted Bundy came with rage, but Kemper, Gein, and Dahmer, they came with some kind of psychosis that
it's just like, why Wisconsin?
The reason I think that they're interesting is because of how warped what they did was, that we literally can't. It seems like it must be entertainment, because it can't, that something like that, unless you were personally connected to it, unless you knew one of the victims or you knew the person that did it or you lived in that time. If you're looking back on that, it's so warped. It seems this must be entertainment because it can't be something that really happened. It does, like, there's almost like a disconnect in my opinion, where it's like Ed Kemper is so interesting to me, but it's at the same time, it's like, if you stop and go like, this is a real fucking guy, and if I had to sit across the table from him, would I be interested in his story, or would I be disgusted by what he did? And I think I would probably be more disgusted than interested. But because I'm so removed, it seems like it's like kind of like you laugh instead of cry, kind of be interested instead of fearing everybody you cross on the street. Because if you start thinking that way, your life goes away.
Well, I mean, that's what Schabusiness is. We're yes,
I can't get past Schabusiness. I really. I'm
pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. SCHA and then business. Schabusiness.
It's legitimately like Dahmer Schabusiness. It shouldn't be funny, but at the same time, I can't. That's a great. This person could have done anything.
Yeah, it's
the late night show with your host Taylor Schabusiness.
Right.
That could have been a thing.
Right.
But instead, we get verdict came in tonight on Taylor Schabusiness.
Yeah. For 30 minutes after deliberation, there's like, this lady did it.
I feel like there was they could have deliberated a little bit more on whether or not she had some sort of. Just because she looked up Dahmer's ass doesn't mean. I mean, I really think that should help her case.
That doesn't necessarily, in my opinion, doesn't show like premeditation, but I don't know, dude.
Yeah, that was the other thing I thought when you said, oh, she said on her oh, she looked up how to do this, or what's
Right.
the fastest way to do this, or whatever. I think the fact that she was looking into Dahmer, that just suggests that she already had this mentality of like it's what we're talking about, the
Right.
interest in these warped sensibilities that people have. But she was on the level of being, of going down that road. Not 99% of us aren't there. 99% of us, I, it's like, even if you had an enemy of yours and a fucking cleaver knife, and you knew nobody was going to find out that you hacked this person into pieces, but you had to hack them into pieces for your, to get away with it or whatever, and you knew you'd get away with it, I think 99% of us would go, I can't do it. I couldn't do it. There's no,
Right.
I don't think I could hack a cow into pieces if I had to eat that night. Let alone a human being. You have to have something like off. I don't want to say
Right.
wrong, but off in your brain. There's some switch that's in the wrong position, and that's not necessarily criminal. That is something that's a sickness that should be, studied and in some type of environment. But I also don't believe in the prison system at all. I think it's a bullshit, big business, capitalist, fuck all that doesn't help people. It says it's supposed to. It only, it just perpetuates the system that we live in and continue. Like, I don't have enough facts on it. I just know what I believe, and I know that I have no right to say anything about it. So I'm not going to say much more about it. But that's, I would like to see somebody get more help than get more time sitting in a cell with themselves with a gray wall to stare at and do nothing but fantasize about the shit that they're already having trouble dealing with and coping with.
It's very woke of you. And you know what they say about going woke. Go woke, go broke.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
Joke's
I won't
on
make it
them.
far.
I've been broke my whole life.
Yeah, I know how to deal with it.
So, I don't know. Isn't it a good thing?
What's that old saying? If I had a penny, I'd have a dollar.
What?
I don't know. I made it. I think it's if I have a dollar, I'd have a penny. I don't listen to me.
It's all, yeah.
It's been a long day, Drew.
None of this matters. Life isn't real. We're all in a simulation. Good episode, Rob. Interesting
Was
stuff.
this good?
Was this good?
Yeah, I got the computer working. I can say it now.
It's great.
I hope the audio's better. You probably heard it cut in and cut out.
Briefly.
But it was the perfect timing for it because I needed my phone to look at my notes and the headlines that I wasn't able to research because there's just so many of them, and it's
yeah.
This is a wild week. There were times when I was sitting there going, just like with my finger on my forehead, going, "What?" And like I'd be in a social setting, and I go, "What's going on?" And I go, "I'm just."
Butter
Why
knives.
do people murder people with butter knives? And they go, "What the fuck? What are you talking about?" And I go, you know what? I'm researching the history of butter knives and butter knife murder. Get off my back.
Hey, it's an untapped area of study, I would say, and maybe it needs to be looked at more because look at the history. Look at the deep history of butter knife murders and or kitchen knives.
I'm legitimately afraid to look up the history of pencil murders because I bet you they're out there.
I bet you there are, and most of them are probably lead poisoning from back in the day.
Yeah.
But modern day graphite. Rob, I drank the 2019 release from Three Sheeps Brewing in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, Ocelot, the Imperial Stout with cocoa nibs, vanilla, cinnamon, and ancho chiles. I still have a bit left. This is a beer in which...
Why are you drinking right now? Can I ask real quick?
Yeah, it's all fucked. So the intermittent fasting thing, I've adjusted it. Because I did more research on stuff. Because I work out so early in the morning, I do need some protein. I do need some consumption with afterwards to get good effects. So I actually started drinking protein shakes about an hour and a half after I work out, and I lost weight quicker. because of that. I had COVID, so that fucked my schedule up for a while as far as eating and stuff. I didn't feel great. Right after I had COVID, a little bit of recovery, I had a vasectomy. I got a vasectomy last week, Friday. So
That's
now
where they cut into the balls and such, yeah?
yeah, dude. It was it was interesting. The numbing shot is so painful. And he's like, "Oh, you're going to feel a pinch and a burn." And I jumped the first time he did it. Knocking
You should talk to my brother about this. He had to go through that.
knocking the numbing agent syringe out of my scrotum. So then he had to do it again.
Oh, you jumped so high that the needle came out.
Right. So then he had to
Here I am trying to get you to just. I would love for you to text my brother out of the blue. Hey, what did you jump high when you got when you got the needle in the balls?
So then so that happened. I got a vasectomy. Today's been rough. A lot of the bruising is coming to the forefront, and it just hurts. It feels like someone's tugging on my balls, like not like a pleasant tug, but it's like almost like an underwear gnome to a degree. Is just hanging off my nuts, and like it's just
Okay.
like that gradual pull.
Can we go back to the term underwear gnome?
Yeah,
I've never heard that term before.
No.
But speaking of something tugging on your nuts, do you want to tell the people what you have to do before you go back in and test to find out
If it worked,
if it worked? Yeah.
I need to ejaculate 30 times in 3 months. And then on the sample that I bring in, I have to write the date and the time that it was collected.
I thought you had to write a short story about how it came to be.
I had to log. So I don't know how I'm going to monitor it. I'll figure it out. But so the question was, why are you drinking right now? Well, my schedule is all fucked.
Because your nuts hurt.
That's part of the
That's
reason.
why.
It's part of the reason. I really hope they're in better shape. I hope I start to feel better by the weekend because I miss running. I do it. I miss it.
Yeah, I didn't climb for like a month and a half. I went climbing yesterday, and it was amazing. It was so good. I haven't been sleeping well,
Yeah.
and last night I finally slept well, and I think it's because I haven't been doing things that I get a release from that in terms of
for sure.
a mental just shut down and restart, like a reboot.
Yeah. So my schedule's a little off. I will get back to not necessarily intermittent fasting, maybe like an adjustment of sorts. I'm just, I'm still working on trying to figure out what works for me and what doesn't. So I had a beer today because I had to drive. So back at work today. After work, I had to drive 2 hours south to go to cross country meet for my daughter. And then I had to drive 2 hours back home. So like cross country, her team, they ran a 5K today. That was the race, a 5K, 3.14 miles. It's not like you have open sight to the whole course.
You see them for like a second, and then you can move,
right?
And you see them for another second.
Yeah,
I've gone to cross country meets. I know the spiel over there.
So I drove 2 hours to go to that because
to see a less than a TikTok worth of your daughter's running.
Yeah, I'm supportive.
Well, that's a good dad. That's a good dad.
Yep. Thank you. I try to get to all sporting events all the time and support
It's
them.
a bad human, though. It's pretty bad for the environment to drive that far for so little. But
you're right. The world's fucked anyways. But
so you're right.
Drove back by the time
I say we commit.
By the time I drove back, I was we were gonna record in a half hour, and I was like, shit, I gotta this is what I gotta do. So I'm gonna have the
get
beer.
One of these ejaculatory things out. I gotta get 30 in the books.
I have to wait till at least Saturday to do that. You have to let it settle.
You're right. Best to wait till after the show.
Right. I can't even fathom doing that right now because I'm in The pain is
The
not.
pain, yeah. You're still in the black and blue stage.
Right.
Okay, let's get back to the beer. We've done our all right. I climbed. You got a vasectomy. We both had big weeks.
Right. uh, so this is a beer that you can't just chug. This is like bourbon. It is a sipping beverage. It's a beverage that you enjoy usually at room temperature. A lot of times it's going to pair with, I think more like barbecue stuff, like more meaty, kind of things, which I don't eat.
It's a smokehouse brew.
Right. And I don't eat meat anymore. So I'm drinking. I didn't want to not have a beer, because I only have a few a week, 1 or 2. And, I enjoyed conversations with you. I enjoyed drinking. So I was like, I'm going to break the rule and I'm going to have it today because just time wasn't on my side. But, I feel like I've earned this. I feel like I sat on that table while the doctor and the nurse, complete strangers, scrubbed my scrotum down, shaved me, and then removed body parts out of me, tubes out of me. And all during this time, they're talking shit about people they work with. They're just talking smack about people. While my stuff is flopped out, or just like maybe like just wiggling out, I guess, like a worm from the earth.
I legitimately, I don't know how much time we have. Probably not much, but this is interesting to me, and maybe we should have. This could have been our strange brew too. I don't know, but like. Did you prep yourself for that?
I did.
Did you do some manscaping beforehand?
I did, but it wasn't good enough. So then the nurse.
Did you try and make it good enough?
Yeah, I thought it was. I thought it was in tip-top shape. But no.
I feel like I would just do enough to make it look like I try on a daily basis.
Nobody really knows like where are your vas deferens. I have no idea. I was like, all right, general vicinity here, and then she's like, oh, I gotta take some off here or whatever. And she's like, don't worry, it's a safety blade. I was like, okay, great. And you know what happens with the safety blade?
They got the lawnmower 4.0 over there.
She nicked me. Prior to any of the numbing agents or whatever, she nicked my scrotum and she goes, oh, sorry. I was like, what the fuck?
Do you know what that's gonna feel like for the next 3 weeks? Especially with the bruising.
Can't be any worse than what it is now, but
so second question.
Yeah.
When they're scrubbing your nuts.
Right. She addressed it.
Any movement? Or it's numbed at this point?
No. So you went shaved and then she scrubbed. And then she goes, I bet you never thought once in your life that some stranger would be scrubbing your scrotum. That's what she said to me. And
I hope you said, I hoped it. I've always hoped. I've always hoped.
I was just like, yeah.
I'm gonna workshop that. So when I get my vasectomy, if the nurse does that to me, I'm gonna have a real goodie to come back with.
A real zinger.
Real zinger. Real stopper in her tracks.
But yeah, and then they did it, and there was times where like they're pulling essentially tubes out of your body.
Yeah, it's a little.
They pull it out.
They pull it out. Three-way stop, right?
Kind of, yeah. And then like when they pull the tube out, you feel your testicle shift up, and it feels weird, uncomfortable. And I go, I can feel that. And the doctor.
I think I had that feeling once. Up into your body.
Right. Yeah.
Up into your body.
Right. And then I was like, oh, I can feel that. And the doctor goes, yeah, you're gonna.
I love the fact that it's like comedian doctors, like observatory comedian doctors, like they grew up on Jerry Seinfeld's stand up, and they're like, but yeah, my family wants me to be a doctor. So.
Right. So that's what happened. Anyways, this beer is good. It's tasty.
Back to the
it is tasty. It is a sipping beer. I do have to finish it. Yeah, I would say drink it. I like bourbon barrel stouts. I do. I enjoy them. How was yours? Pog Frog.
Pog Frog. I actually, you know what? Like, I legitimately bought this beer thinking I'm gonna buy a beer that I'm not gonna like. I want to drink a beer I'm not gonna like. It's not in my wheelhouse really. Turns out this one is actually reminded me kind of it's kind of like a hazy where it's very fruity. It's got a sweetness to it. The tartness comes on the back end, but it's not too much. I was expecting it to be a sour, but it's not. I wouldn't drink more than 2 pints of it, probably.
Right.
But
if you're
mainly because you get that syrupy sweet like kind of feel in your mouth over time.
If you like, if a person were to get drunk off sours, you would have like the worst gut rot and possibly diabetes the next day.
Yeah, that's yeah, I wouldn't recommend like a 6-pack of this or anything, which is no, I don't think anybody's drinking 6-packs of IPAs anyway necessarily.
No.
But it's for what it is. If you want a sweet kind of with sweeter beer, with the guava is really good. Passion fruit I don't really like, so if that's in there, it doesn't come through very much because I didn't at least from what I remember passion fruit tasting like. I'm not a huge fan, but I did like the taste of this. I think it's more orangey and guava centric. But yeah, this would be a great beer for like a picnic or on the beach.
Yeah,
just like a hot day kind of like out having whatever, some potato salad and whatever with have a little sweet fruity beer to wash it down. I think it'd be good with a ham sandwich. I don't know.
I have access to Great Notion. I'll see if I can get my hands on Pog Frog, and then I could try it if I can get it, and then see if I have the same feeling. But yeah, like and subscribe on whatever, I guess, the stuff. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Threads, we're on Mastodon, which I don't really understand that still.
I don't get it either.
Instagram.
Can I plug something quick?
Yeah.
I'm Berto _18.4. No, 184.
I'll tag you. I'll tag you with the post.
I'm gonna plug myself and not know what the handle is. I would love to hear from the listeners and hear what they want us to do on the show, because we're at a crossroads now, and where it's like I think we should let them peel back the layers and go. We're trying to refocus the show on what the listeners want. And what we want to do with it, and it's we've been questioning what that is lately, and to me, I would if we're gonna do this thing, we've been doing it for 6 years. You've been doing it for 6 years. I've been doing it for 5. Right, that's where we're at now. I would love to hear feedback from people, whether it's through the Dudes with Brews page, through my Instagram, which is, I'm pretty sure it's Berto _184 on Instagram. But like, I just want to know. I want to know, do you want the Strange Brews? Do you want interviews? Do you like hearing about me and Drew's struggle with the life that has been dealt to us, or that we've tried to make for ourselves? Does that help you in any way? Does it's like, what is that a fair thing to say?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yep. You sound real enthusiastic. All right.
No,
let's get out of here on that.
All right. Bye-bye.
Pew! Audio. Goodbye, everyone.